All right, we're going to hit the pause button right there, but watching along with you at home, we have criminal defense attorney Silva Megardician, who is a friend of the program. You're joining us from Rancho Mirage, California, just outside of Palm Springs. You're based in the Los Angeles area. Thanks for being with us. So we were talking about this earlier, and there was a lot of sidebars and a lot of objections during these closings. What were your thoughts about that? Do you think that that was strategic?
You know what, Matt? First of all, Matt and Michael, you know I love and respect you both. Thank you so much for having me on. And let me tell you, it kills me because when I'm in trial and I'm constantly interrupted, it completely messes me up. And it is strategic because this defense attorney's whole style, it's not necessarily legal based, right? It's more of a thought process. It's emotion, it's compassion, it's love for his client. And when he's constantly interrupted in his mind flow, it's going to have a detrimental effect on his argument. And you could kind of see it. It was a little bit difficult for him to get that motor running. I will tell you, it brought back a little bit of PTSD for me. I was in a very intensive trial. I had objected to the prosecutor quite a bit. And she gave it to me right back. And it was incredibly effective to get me off of my role. And I think that what the DA did is extremely strategic.
I would have to agree 100%. I noticed it kind of knocked him off his game a little bit. And I agree 100% that he's more about emotion. And he's starting to bring it. Now, it's still early on in his closing. But Silva, how do you think he's doing at this point?
Look, I like him. He's a natural. He's very much of someone that you could have a beer with, right? We always hear that, someone who's very likable. And sometimes when you don't have the facts on your case as a defense attorney, that likability gives you a lot of credibility with the jury. The only criticism I'm going to have is I wish he started with a boom. Right, Michael, it's exactly how you started the program. You know, with the coffin talk with the prosecutor, I wanted him to start with maybe, your man takes a bat to a TV. Do you remember that image? Imagine if that was you in the room. How fearful would you have been? Now imagine if that was sustained over a period of time. Like, put an image in the jurors' minds that's so powerful. Because 20 minutes in, Michael and Matt, you're going to lose your jury. They're exhausted. They're hungry. They just heard an hour from the DA. They kind of need to be re-established in what they're doing. I just wish he started a little bit more with a bang and not getting involved in like legal talk that's going to, bring in an objection. But other than that, I really like his style. I just wish he handled it a little bit differently from the beginning. Rather than build up, build it hard, and then supply your imagery with actual legal arguments. I just would have done it a little bit differently.
Yeah, excellent insights, because I agree 100%. Because as I'm watching him, I'm saying, why is he starting with definitions?
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't start with definitions. Get to that a little bit later. Hit them with the imagery in this case. I agree 100%. All right, Silva, stand by. We do have to take a break right now. When we come back, the defense explains more about why his client, Sarah Boone, was suffering from battered spouse syndrome when she left Torres in that suitcase. Keep it here on Court TV Live.
I'm Kelly Craft in Orlando, Florida, covering the suitcase murder trial. Florida versus Sarah Boone. You're watching Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
And welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Matt Johnson, in for Judge Ashley, who was on earlier today.
That's right, and I'm Michael Ayala. We are bringing you the closing arguments in the suitcase murder trial of Sarah Boone. She faces up to life in prison if convicted of killing her boyfriend, George Torres, who was found in a zipped suitcase in February of 2020.
Right now, the defense is explaining to the jury why Boone is suffering from battered spouse syndrome, in their opinion. Let's get you back to court.
Sarah Boone's not perfect. Sarah Boone would argue with him, talk down to him. Some would say was somewhat abusive to him. Sarah's not charged with that. Sarah Boone is not charged with that. And I want to read you something on that subject. If I can find it. Essentially, okay, I don't know where it's at, but I'm going to have to come back to it. But essentially what it said was, eventually here it is. It's been a 2-week trial. I got a bunch of notes. I'm trying to get this right. I know it's important. What I wanted to say was someone can be mean and angry and hateful and intoxicated and still be abused. They're not mutually exclusive. And mutual abuse exists where one is abusive towards another. And eventually the victim, Sarah Boone, trying to fight back against the abuse, became verbally abusive. While the victim has committed verbal abuse, it is important to remember that they, Sarah Boone, are the victim and have been pulled into an extremely vicious cycle where they are trying to survive. Sarah Boone intentionally left George Torres in the suitcase. What's the act of a battered spouse syndrome woman? She went up to her room, she fell asleep or passed out. These actions are disconnected. Ultimately, she didn't let him out because of her fear that she knew if he got out in that moment, what he would do. That's real fear, that's real trauma that she was experiencing at that time. Now, I talked to you about force being used, and I think I talked to you about blocking an attack using a physical restraint like the suitcase to block somebody's attack. And the example I give, I got a couple of examples that may or may not apply. Let's say you're in a bar and you got your buddies and the other guy's got their buddies and they're drinking and it ends up being an argument between two of them. And you realize that these two are fixing to get in it. Well, one of your buddies comes around on the other side and grabs the guy before he's able to strike him, right? So you're committing an offense on this guy, but it's a restraint. It's a restraint where you grab him by the neck and try to get him out the bar. So yeah, you're committing an act, but it's designed to defend another, which is legal. Or let's say you have a situation where you have a police officer and he's on patrol. You know, he's in uniform, he's wearing a firearm, and of course he's got the bulletproof vest. And he's called, he goes to a call where there's a suspect that may be armed. A suspect that may be armed. And so he gets there, he gets out of the squad car, he's walking around, of course he's taking out his gun because he realizes he may be armed. And eventually he sees the suspect, and the suspect reaches for his waist. Now, in that moment in time, that officer has to make a decision. Am I going home with my family tonight? And I asked Dr. Werner about this Vaseline thing. It's called fear response or fight or flight. You know, those decisions are made, it's instinctive. Based on your set of circumstances, she instinctively reacted to her unique set of circumstances to save her life or save herself from another one of these. I'm 63. can't imagine that. I can't imagine that. Her father's not around. I need to talk about the case a little bit. And if you'll remember, I'll go back to it. If you'll remember, that's what place we're in.
All right, we need to fit in a short break right now. We're going to hit the pause button. But when we come back, the defense explains to the jury why some of the state's witnesses actually helped their case.
I would agree.
When we come back to your front row seat of justice.
Tell me, Mr. Saeed, in your own words, what happened that night?
On the next Interview with a Killer, the convicted murderer of the horrific honor killings.
Did you kill your daughters to shut them up?
Very funny, really. I'm laughing. Do you see me? I laugh.
Speaks out for the first time on camera.
You make it sound like you're the victim.
Exactly.
Interview with a Killer, Sunday, 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
All right, folks, we're going to get you back to court in just a moment. But first, let's bring back in our guest, joining us, criminal defense attorney Silva Megerdician. All right, Silva, I'm a little flustered, and he looks a little flustered. There's been hints of that throughout the trial. He came in late. I think he was a little bit behind the 8 ball from the very beginning. But right now, I'm not sure it's going over all that well.
You know, Michael, it's weird to me, right? Because I feel, could it be that the DA's close, it was very good? Could it be that maybe he got a little bit off track and he's flustered? I feel a lot of sympathy for him. He needs to go to the crux of the case. Sympathetic language. Talk about his client and what she's been through. Color this story. I feel like he just didn't get sleep. He seems incredibly tired. And honestly, I do think the DA's close kind of shook his clothes, but fumbling through papers and letting the jury wait while you find your argument, it's not going to win your case. You have to focus on your strengths. I don't know why he's not just talking to the jury. You don't need the notes, just talk to them. So as a defense attorney, it's frustrating me, and he's a wonderful attorney. He just has to get his pattern going.
And you know what? He is attorney, to his credit, number 9. He was watching Court TV, perhaps your show, and decided that he wanted to represent Sarah Boone, and he's doing so, and he's very good. But he is focusing on expert testimony where you have a different approach from the prosecutors, really focusing in on the evidence and actually showing those demonstrative aids.
Yeah, Matt, but I mean, I just want to hear the story, because the story is the only thing that's going to grab these jurors. Of course, the expert testimony, but you know, they say that you win and lose a case once you hear your client speak. And I think that, you know, some of the things that the DA did in rebuttal hurt her. I want to hear that story again. That is your strength. Focus on that. Get your nerves out, right? And then go into the complicated legal and expert language that will sell it home. But that groove is missing. That groove is missing. But he's phenomenal. But I think he's also exhausted, and it's been an emotional trial. He obviously adores his client. I just, as a defense attorney, I'm rooting for him. I don't know if he has it right now.
Well, we'll have to see what he has to say next, because he's going to really focus in on what the witnesses had to say from the state, their case in chief, and how he says that it helped his defense case. Let's head back to court.
Let's start with the witnesses, and then I'll talk about Sarah. But the first witness out of the box for the state, if you remember, was Juan Torres, the brother. Remember that? It was some time ago. I know it's been a while. Y'all taking notes. You may have to go back. Their first witness was a good witness for us. Their first witness in their prosecution of Sarah Boone for murder was a good witness for us. Remember Tony Henderson with the cross-examine of Juan Torres. Asked him, what did you hear Sarah Boone say? Juan Torres, she was yelling, he's been choking me. He's been choking me. Mr. Henderson said, did that surprise you? Juan Torres said, no. That family knew what was going on. The police knew what was going on. The neighbors knew what was going on. Pearl Walker came in here, 80-something years old, in a wheelchair. Kevin Beck called her up. She saw it. Is there any doubt? Is there any doubt? I tell you why there's no doubt. In cross-examination, I got Dr. Warner to even admit. Did you hear it? Yes? Okay, Mr. Owens. She suffers from battered spouse syndrome. Wouldn't admit it on direct. Well, maybe. I don't really know. I hadn't had enough time to really see her. You hadn't seen the pictures? You hadn't seen the 2-minute video? You've seen her one time earlier this month. One time. And she's going to start testifying about stuff she's never said before until she showed up in court? About, well, based on what she told me, I don't think she was in imminent fear? Come on. This is a courtroom. This is a courtroom. Good thing y'all are here. We thank you. But it gets even worse than that. It gets even worse than that here in this courtroom. The state attorney referred to these pictures. And I was going to rise up and show these pictures to you.
Overruled. You may proceed.
And I was going to rise up and show these pictures to you. Well, yeah, I'm going to do that. They put her on trial for murder. But what did they say? And I got to turn to this. Make sure I get this exactly like they said it. I took a bunch of notes. Let me make sure I got this quote. Can't even find it, but it was something to the effect, maybe George Torres is the battered spouse. Can you believe it? Can you believe that? Now you know why we're here. Now you know why we're here. Little boys learn early on that girls are different. You do not put your hands on a girl. You can't wrestle with them, you can't punch them, you can't kick them. You can't treat women that way. When you become adults, I don't care what she does to you. I don't care what she says.
Approaching the top of the hour, our thanks to Silva Megardician for joining us.
All right, folks, stick around. We have a lot more coming up. The jury will soon be deliberating the fate of Sarah Boone in the suitcase murder trial. We'll have more of her closing arguments, so keep it here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice.